Hi, my name is Dhananjay Kumar. In this video, we are going to learn extension method in C#. Extension method allows you to add functionality to an existing class without modifying that class. It allows you to add functionality to an existing class without recompiling that class, or it allows you to add functionality to an existing class without extending it. So imagine a scenario that you want to add functionality to a class and you are not owner of that class. You cannot modify that class, you cannot recompile that class, but still you have a requirement to add a functionality to that class. In that scenario, you will create extension method. For example, if you want to add a function called remove vowel in .NET Core string class, then you will create extension method called remove vowel and add it to string class without modifying string class. These are the steps to create an extension method. First, you need to create a static visible class which will contain extension method. After creating a static class, you need to add a static public method which will act as extension method. First parameter of extension method must be the target type preceded by this modifier. So for example, if you are creating extension method for a class product, then first parameter of extension method would be this product, and any extra parameter should be passed as second arguments onwards. Like a normal function, extension method can return any type of data. There are some restrictions on extension method as well. For example, extension method can only access public methods of the target class. So let us say you are adding extension method to a class product and that contains a public method display, then you can use that inside the extension method. Whereas if product class contains a private variable or private method, you cannot access that. Second restriction is extension method always gets lower priority than the member method of target type. So if an extension method conflicts with a member method of target type, always member method is get invoked instead of extension method. Let us again take example of product class, that there is a member method in product class called display, and you are creating extension method display for product class, then always member method display will get executed, not extension method display. Now let us get into demo and see that how we can create extension method and how we can work with these restrictions. For purpose of demo, I have created a class player that exposes two public properties and one public method. Here in console application, I am creating instance of class player, passing values for properties, and then executing public method, that is display message. So far nothing fancy in this code. If we run this application, we expect output Sachin T plays for India. Let us go ahead and run this. And here we got expected output. So far so good. Now let us learn how we can add an extension method to class player. To add an extension method, what I have done, I have created a static class named extension helper. In this particular demo, class extension helper is inside the namespace demo and class player is also inside namespace demo. Keep in mind that this is not the requirement. Your extension method can be in any DLL or in any namespace. Just to use that, you need to add a reference of required namespace and DLL. Now step 1 to create extension method, that extension method can be created only inside a public static class. So we have a public static class over here. Next, we want to create extension method. So we'll create that like a normal function, and that function should be a static function. So here say static, and let us say this particular extension method is not returning anything, so I'm setting type as void. Next, give name, and I'm calling name as name of the function as display is. Good, this is normal function inside this class, and it should be public as well. Now what we need to do, we need to attach this function as an extension method to class player, which we have created here. So the first parameter we'll pass will be the target type, that is player P here. And remember that we need to put this operator, this keyword, before the target type. So here what we have done, we have registered this function display is as an extension method to the type player. If you don't want to pass any parameter to extension method, then you just go ahead and write your code here. If you want to pass any parameter, then those parameters will be passed as a second arguments onwards. Let us say I want to pass integer is, which I have done here. Now inside this function I can write my own code. I am just saying console.writeLine and say p.name is plus age plus years old. Good. Again, this is not a very fancy code we have written inside extension method, but a message I want to convey that you can access a public property or public method of target type inside extension method, and we are accessing name property of target type player inside the extension method. So to summarize again what we have done, we created an extension method named display is for the target type player. It is taking one input parameter and it is returning nothing. And here it is just printing some message. Now let us see that how this should be used with target type player. Now before using extension method, go ahead and compile the code. And we got that rebuild all succeed. Now you see that we have an object of target type player here P, and we expect that extension method which we just created, display is, should be as a member of this particular target type. So when we say p dot display, here you see that we are getting display is over there in IntelliSense, and IntelliSense is saying that it is an extension method. If you notice here, p dot display, and it is saying that it is an extension method. So we want this, and then again IntelliSense is saying that it is an extension method and it takes you one input parameter, that it is. So let us say I'm passing 30. That's it. Now we are using an extension method display is with instance of class player, and we added this method display is without modifying player class. Now if you go ahead and run this, you should get expected output that Sachin T is 30 years old. Now let us see that how we can work with some of the restrictions. So here you see that we gave the name as display is, and already we have a member method called display message. So go ahead and change this to display message. Now player class got two methods, one display message and one display message as a member method and display message as an extension method. And as we know that always member method takes more precedence over extension method. So now in this scenario we will see that only display message, which is the member method, would get executed. So run it, and we are getting an error. because we don't have now display is, and we can see display message that takes 30 as a parameter. But here you see that you are getting display message, and the reason behind is that because both the methods are not exactly the same. Display message here takes one input parameter, where this display message doesn't take any parameter. So let us just go and say, hey, integer something ABC, and here we pass some integer 30. Now definition of both member method and extension method is same, so we expect only member method to get executed. So run it, and here you see that you are getting message exactly same. So the message I wanted to convey that if your extension method got different signature, even though it got the same name, then extension method would get executed. Whereas if you have same name, same signature of extension method and member method, then always member method would get executed. So this is the way you can add an extension method to an existing class and can work with an extension method. I hope you find this video useful, and I'm sure that now you are going to use extension method in your project. Thank you so much for watching this.